Class 8, Science, Chapter 8, Cell Structure and Functions, Animated Science, Introduction. Hello my dear friends, I'm Chlo, the chloroplast. I'm a part of a plant cell. My job is to turn sunlight into sugar. Isn't that a grand job? Do you know what a cell is? Everything living is built from cells. A cell is the very smallest unit of living matter. All living things, including plants and animals, are made up of cells. There are many different kinds of cells. The two kinds you are most likely to be familiar with are animal and plant cells. Cells have different sizes, shapes, and jobs to do. Even the cells in a single organism may have different shapes, sizes, and jobs. Organisms like humans are made up of trillions of cells. I'm here today to take you into the wonderful world of cells and tell you about what cells are, how cells were discovered, their structure and function, and similarities and differences between the plant cell and the animal cell. So let's begin our journey into the fascinating world of cell. Let's begin with what exactly is a cell. Cell. All living things are made up of organs, which in turn are made up of tissues. Tissues are made up of even smaller microscopic units called cell. A cell is the very smallest unit of living matter. All living things, including plants, animals, and microorganisms, are made up of cells. There are many different kinds of cells. The two kinds you are most likely to be familiar with are animal and plant cells. The cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. All organisms are composed of cells. A cell is the smallest unit of living matter. There are many different kinds of cells. The two kinds you are most likely to be familiar with are animal and plant cells. All basic functions of the body, for example, repair, growth, movement, immunity, communication, and digestion are carried out inside of cells. Cells have different sizes, shapes, and jobs to do. Even the cells in a single organism may have different shapes, sizes, and jobs. Hence, we know that an organ is made up of tissues, which in turn are made up of cells. Hey, do you know what unicellular and multicellular organisms are? Unicellular and multicellular organisms. The organisms are divided into two types depending on the number of cells in their body, and these are multicellular. Organisms made of more than one cell are called multicellular organisms. Examples of multicellular organisms are plants, animals, and humans. Unicellular. The single-celled organisms are called unicellular organisms. A single-celled organism performs all the necessary functions that multicellular organisms perform. For example, a single-celled organism like amoeba captures and digests food, respires, excretes, grows, and reproduces. Examples of single-celled organisms are euglenas, amoebas, and bacteria. Do you know a hen's egg is a single cell, and it is big enough to be seen by the unaided eye? Inside of a hen's egg, the egg cell has a yellow part called the yolk and the white part called the albumin. An organism like a human being with billions of cells begins life as a single cell, which is the fertilized egg. The fertilized egg cell multiplies and the number of cells increase as development proceeds. Do you know when was the first time any scientist discovered a cell? Discovery of a cell. In 1665, a scientist, Robert Hooke, discovered a cell. He took a slice of cork and observed it under the microscope. Cork is part of the bark of a tree. He noticed partitioned boxes or compartments which appeared like honeycomb in the cork slice. He also noticed that one box was separated from the other by a wall or partition. Hooke coined the term cell for each box. This is how the cell was discovered for the first time. Can you tell whether the size of a cell in a human body is bigger than the size of a cell in a rat? Size of a cell. Most of the cells are microscopic in size and are not visible to the unaided eye. They need to be enlarged or magnified by a microscope in order to be seen by us. The size of the cell is related to its function. The size of the cells has no relation with the size of the body of the animal or plant. It is not necessary that the cells in the human be much bigger than those in a rat. For example, nerve cells in the humans and rats are long and branched as they perform the same function of transferring messages. The smallest cell. The bacteria cell, which is 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer. The largest cell. The egg of the ostrich measuring 170 mm into 130 mm. I was wondering if you know about the shape of cells in our body. Do all the cells have the same shape or are they different in shapes? Let's find out. Shape of cells. The human body has trillions of cells which have different shapes. The different shapes are related to their specific functions. Generally, cells are round, spherical or elongated. Some cells are long and pointed at both ends. They exhibit spindle shape. Cells sometimes are quite long. Some are branched like the nerve cell or a neuron. The human body cells such as blood, muscle and nerve cells have different shapes. Some are branched like the nerve cell or a neuron. Spherical red blood cells, spindle-shaped muscle cell, long-branched nerve cell. Do you know which part of the cell gives it shape? The animal cells have an outer protective membrane known as the cell membrane. The components of the cell like the nucleus, cytoplasm, etc. are enclosed in the cell membrane. The cell membrane gives shape to the animal cell. On the other hand, in plant cells, there is an additional covering called the cell wall, which is present over the cell membrane. It gives shape and rigidity to the plant cells. Cells of microorganisms like bacteria also have a cell wall, which gives them their characteristic shape. The white blood cells or WBC in human blood are another example of a single cell, which can change their shape. Do you know? Can you name any cells or organisms that can change their shape? Amoeba. A single-celled organism like amoeba has no definite shape, unlike other organisms. It keeps on changing its shape. Observe the projections of varying lengths protruding out of its body. These are called pseudopodia, pseudo meaning false, podia meaning feet. These projections appear and disappear as amoeba moves or feeds. White blood cell. A white blood cell or WBC in human blood is another example of a single cell which can change its shape. Now let's find out what are the different parts of an animal cell and a plant cell. Parts of an animal cell and a plant cell. Cell membrane. All cells have some parts in common. One part found in all plant and animal cells is the cell membrane. The cell membrane is also called the plasma membrane. The cell membrane surrounds the cell, holds the other parts of the cells in place, gives shape and protects the cell. It is porous and allows the movement of substances or materials both inward and outward. Substances can pass in and out of the cell membrane. The membrane separates cells from one another and also the cell from the surrounding medium. Cell wall in plant cells. In addition to the cell membrane, there is an outer thick layer in cells of plants called the cell wall. This additional layer surrounding the cell membrane is required by the plants for protection against variations in temperature, high wind speed, atmospheric moisture, etc. Inside the membrane, all cells except for bacterial cells contain a nucleus and cytoplasm. Nucleus. The nucleus is an important component of the living cell. It is a dark, dense structure located in the middle of the cell. It controls the activities of the cell. Nucleus is separated from the cytoplasm by a membrane called the nuclear membrane. This membrane is also porous and allows the movement of materials between the cytoplasm and the inside of the nucleus. The nucleus contains a smaller spherical body called the nucleus. In addition, nucleus contains thread-like structures called chromosomes. The chromosomes can be seen only when the cell divides. Functions of nucleus. The chromosomes present in the nucleus carry genes which help in inheritance or transfer of characters from the parents to the offspring. Nucleus acts as control center of the activities of the cell. Cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is a jelly-like substance inside the cell where most of the cell's activities take place. It is present between the cell membrane and the nucleus. Various other components or organelles of cells are present in the cytoplasm. These are vacuoles, mitochondria, Golgi bodies, ribosomes, etc. Vacuoles in animal cells are smaller in size as compared to the vacuoles present in the plant cells. The plant cell also contains several small multicolored bodies called plastids or chloroplasts. Some of them contain a green pigment called chlorophyll. The chloroplasts provide color to the leaves. Have you heard about prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells? Well, let me tell you in detail about them. Prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells. The cells having nuclear material without nuclear membrane are termed as prokaryotic cells. The organisms with these kinds of cells are called prokaryotes. Pro meaning primitive, karyon meaning nucleus. Examples are bacteria and blue-green algae. Eukaryotic cells. The cells having well-organized nucleus with a nuclear membrane are termed as eukaryotic cells. The organisms with these kinds of cells are called eukaryotes. Eu meaning true, karyon meaning nucleus. Examples are animals, plants, and fungi. Now let's summarize the basic differences between a plant cell and an animal cell. Differences between plant cell and animal cell. So friends, it's time to end this wonderful journey. How was the journey into the world of cells? Did you enjoy it? Come again. Bye-bye.